to the latest episode of the Firmware Update, episode 1.41. I'm one of your hosts, Malcolm Spinetti, and this podcast for all your PlayStation news, reviews, and everything in between. And joining me, as always, Joe Garcia.
What kind of deodorant do you use, Malcolm?
I tend to steer more towards Degree.
Degree.
Yep, depending on, for men, of course. And,
Oh, don't want to buy the wrong kind.
yes, and if they make a commercial that's silly enough, what's the red one called?
Old Spice?
What's that? Old
Old
Spice.
Spice?
Yes, that's it. Those Terry Crews commercials really made me a fan for the longest time. But I usually go with Degree or something that doesn't leave white stuff on my armpit. What about you? This is a great way to start our video game podcast.
I figured, all the different ways people smell. Because I think it's funny, because I tried to go with the least scented thing possible. Because it's always struck me as strange that people care about the way, it's always, obviously you don't want, BO or anything, but it's always weird that besides, making sure there's no BO, that people give a shit at all what their armpits smell like. It's like, who's got their head in there? So I just try to go with unscented stuff, but my deodorant ran out, so I had to use this Gillette stuff that my niece gave me for Christmas a while ago. I was like, fine, I'll use this, and it reeks like hell. I put on a one quick coat on each armpit, and it's just reeks. I feel bad not only for me, but I felt bad. I was like, I'm the asshole who wears too much terrible smelling stuff.
So is it a spray? Or that's another question. Do you spray or do you do the stick?
Spray? What years? No, I used to go with the stick.
Save the environment a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just funny because, there's so many different scents that people put on themselves. It's like you got, your body wash smells one way, your shampoo smells another, you got your mouthwash, it smells a different way. It's like there's so many scents coming off, artificial scents coming out of the human body now. So I just try to go with my natural musk.
Good to know. I prefer the sports scent out of, just for my own personal deal. I agree with you. It's
we know that. Malcolm's an athlete.
Indeed. Nothing says pro athlete like a video game podcast, Oh, man. So, what have you been playing as of late, Joe?
Jack Craft.
Ooh.
It's only been a few days between our last recording. We recorded on Sunday, due to scheduling, stuff. But we're back on our usual Thursday, so it's only been a few days, but I've come back from work just so swamped, that I just would rather just kind of veg out in front of the WWE network or my DVR. But, I've played some threes on the train, on the commute, as well as Picross. I got Picross over from, Club Nintendo. That's winding down now, and I grabbed one of the many free games that they're letting you redeem coins for, and Picross is one of mine because I love Picross 3D on the DS, so I figured, why not get the 1995 Game Boy original, and it's pretty good.
I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy Record Keeper, as I said. Actually, a little after we finished recording, I was doing one of those random drawings, and I got Masamune, which, for those of you who don't know, which quite a lot of you probably, that is actually Sephiroth's sword. So it was like this max 5-star weapon, right off the bat. I was extremely lucky. So I was determined to beat this event in which if you win, you get Sephiroth. So I could get Sephiroth and give him his sword. And I was doing pretty well. It's 70 levels, and I was going through each and every single one of them until I made it to this boss, which you can't use melee attacks on. You have to use only special attacks. And, I have shit for that, so I gave up. However, I checked out a strategy guide, and, after some, a little bit of grinding and a little bit of luck, and especially getting this mega powerful staff, which I gave to Rydia, who's like this wizard, I was able to come back, and just before we started recording, I got Sephiroth.
Way to go, buddy.
Thank you, man. I was really stoked. It's been slow as it is at AT&T, so I needed some kind of victory this month, so feels good. Feels good. Oh, man. And let's say I've been playing a bit of Bloodborne here and there whenever I sporadically get the chance. Though I'll be getting a lot of chances now that the wife's gone for 5 days.
Just like you sat down with Wolfenstein during your vacation, huh?
Yes. Well, this one I'm actually. But anyway, I'm sorry, buddy. It's like me trying to coax you on getting you to admit that Mortal Kombat has a story. It's going to take some work. But I'm actually right. No, but I'm right too, Joe. But anyway, hey, so been playing that, and I've been playing a lot more Diablo as of late too.
Yeah, interesting.
Indeed. Hey, for me, that's a game to come back to. It's a great, and plus they just did some patches and whatnot recently that actually breathed even more life into the game. So
yeah, just step all over my news. Why not?
Well, I didn't say what was in the patch.
God.
Oh man, almost reminds me when we were doing the Macho Man, and I said, "Oh," and I kept like jumping ahead.
It's like, yeah, why don't you just? I want to just pass my notes over to you, and you do it.
It was funny because I never saw your notes. So
it's like that's literally the next thing, Malcolm. It's like
it's like all committed to memory. It's like, oh man, so. Oh, and I also downloaded, thanks to the fact that I have an iPad, I got that new Mortal Kombat X mobile game. Indeed. I'll have a little bit to say on that later.
Is it basically just a reskinned version of the Immortals/Injustice game that they put out?
The Immortals.
Previously?
I thought you were mispronouncing Injustice there for a second.
No, both of those things showed up on mobile.
In gameplay...
Those two are basically the same.
In gameplay-wise, yeah, that's essentially what it is.
So they're basically all the same game. It's just which characters you'd rather play with. You want to play with DC characters? You want to play with wrestlers? Or do you want to play with Mortal Kombat?
Indeed, and that's essentially what it is. Though I will, break down what they did with this version to make you might possibly care about it a little bit more than those previous games.
Can you unlock stuff in the console game? Is that the thing?
Yes, but that's not it.
It sounds like it. Okay, sounds like the
It's not exactly the same, trust me. And we'll find out about this and a whole lot more. But despite the fact that it's only been 4 days, there's actually a surprising amount of news according to Joe. So, folks, let's jump right into it. Let's head to the news. All right, Joe. So what happened this week in the world of PlayStation games?
We've got a gaggle of game announcements here. Chief among them, I think, for me at least, is Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, announced for Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4, of course. Basically all the new gen stuff. It is a direct sequel to Human Revolution, which showed up on PlayStation 3 in 2011. You get to play once again as the main character from that game, Adam Jensen, who returns and joins forces with an Interpol-funded task force aiming to hunt down and capture augmented terrorists in a world that now hates and fears transhuman. This was all revealed as part of Game Informer's monthly cover reveal for May 2015. And there's no date on the game just yet, but hopefully we'll hear some more about it at E3. Maybe we can get a release date for later this year. I would hope so, at least. But I'm excited because Human Revolution was a damn terrific game.
Nice. So tell us some more here, because I didn't play Deus Ex Machina or whatever the Deus Ex.
Human Revolution. Cool.
Human Revolution. I didn't play too much of that the first time around, but it was massive, and the amount of choice you had in it, I must say, was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and part of the choice is not only a large part of the choice isn't just narrative stuff, but the way you play, whether you go all out action, guns blazing, or if you go with the stealth approach. It seems like that would be the case here as well. But yeah, like I remember a little while ago, they I think a few months ago, I'm not sure exactly, I don't remember exactly when, but Square Enix or Eidos Montreal, they revealed, or they showed off a screenshot with their new engine for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. They're like, hey, look at this really cool room, and it's this giant yellow room with a bunch of like light bars, and it's like, that's impressive, but obviously it's like, we'd rather see an actual game, so come back to us when you have an actual game. And, so that's what they're doing. I'm excited.
Excellent. All right, what's the next game announcement?
The next game announcement is a little bit more obvious, but people like knowing exactly what's coming. This year's Call of Duty, the 2015 game, is handled by Treyarch this year, and their game they released a teaser trailer, but it's not very subtle. And Activision confirmed that this teaser trailer, titled Back in Black, is indeed for Call of Duty Black Ops 3, with the full reveal slated for April 26th this year.
And did you see the trailer itself, Joe?
I did. It's just a bunch of fancy silhouettes Like it's just a bunch of silhouettes made up of like floating code or whatever. So it's nothing there's nothing specific, for you to know what exactly is going on gameplay wise. But
basically just a lot of shooting, choppers, maybe one bow and arrow here and there.
No, nothing like that. It's literally all just character silhouettes. But they, like, you hear the name of characters that recur in Black Ops 1 and 2, so it's pretty obvious what it is.
Is there, like, in the Call of Duty continuity, is there, like, actually different universes then, I guess?
Yeah, you can say that. Like, there's the Modern Warfare stuff that spans those games. Black Ops is a different thing. I think the very first Call of Duty games, like the first two, or the first three even, might have some recurring stuff, but I'm not sure. But definitely Black Ops, definitely Modern Warfare. Those definitely have things happening between each other.
Do you think Advanced Warfare will be a thing?
Probably. That pretty ends with a pretty big cliffhanger. So yeah, almost there.
So
almost assured.
So they get back to each dimension like every 3 years, every 2 years.
I guess that seems to be the plan. Although Modern Warfare 3 was the last one of those games before Infinity Ward jumped over to Ghosts, which released in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they're making that a separate thing, which hopefully not, because that's great. But I don't know. Like, the only thing I know for sure is that these three studios that now work on Call of Duty, Treyarch, which is doing this year's game, Sledgehammer, which is last year's game, and I guess 2016 is going to fall over to Infinity Ward again. They all kind of work. I mean, they all kind of pass the engine around and, kind of attach whatever is necessary for their specific game. But they seem to work pretty independently of each other besides that. So who knows what's happening.
Indeed. One of these days I need to, like, jump in and give it a try. I think I tried Modern Warfare and I didn't like it at all.
What? The first one? From, like, 2007?
No, I think this was the one that had the whole airport level in it.
Oh, that was Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. That was in on it, and I traded it in almost immediately.
That game was fine, but the first game, the first Modern Warfare, really, really, really goddamn good. Like, the graphics has probably aged a bit by now, because that game is 8 years old this year, so it's probably don't be too hard on the graphics. But I'm pretty sure the story and gameplay still hold up pretty well. And Advanced Warfare is a lot of fun. If you want to check out Kevin Spacey being Kevin Spacey.
Oh yeah, if I get one, it'll probably be that one. I mean,
yeah, it's not a bad one to check out.
All right, so what's the next story?
The next story is from WB, Warner Brothers Games. They've announced that they're basically getting in on the collectible figure that you zap into your game with Lego Dimensions.
This could be pretty big, actually.
They're all pretty big, Malcolm. They're all pretty big in their own respect.
Joe, it's Lego.
I know. I'm just saying. They're all big. They're all parents. They're like, great, thank you, Lego, for this too, assholes. That'll be launching on September 27th. On basically every console that you see, Skylanders and Disney Infinity on. So that includes PS3, PS4, Wii U, Xbox One, Xbox 360. The starter pack is a little more expensive than other games, though. That'll be starting at $99.99, and that will include Lego Batman, Lego Gandalf, a Wild Style from the Lego Movie, and the Lego Batmobile. The starter pack also comes with the Lego Toy Pad and buildable Lego Gateway. And the game is under development from the usual people that do the Lego games, Traveler's Tale.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because it looks like from what I see of the commercial, you actually have to construct the connector pad, which is actually pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, like it's like Lego is a natural fit for sure for this type of game. And they'll be doing other properties as well. They've announced that they'll also be doing Back to the Future levels, Ninjago stuff, of course, because Ninjago kids can't get enough of that freaking Ninjago. I know my nephew can't. DC fun packs with Wonder Woman and Cyborg, Lord of the Rings fun packs with Gollum, Gimli, and Legolas, the Lego Movie fun pack with Emmett, Bad Cop, Benny, and Unikitty, and Wizard of Oz fun pack with Wicked Witch of the West. Warner Brothers says that there are only some of the figures and level packs that'll be coming after launch and into 2016. So plenty of stuff on the docket for that for sure.
This and given the fact that how many things are clear with Lego, like you could see Marvel and DC interaction there. You could see Jurassic Park. You could see and it's okay because it's Lego, which I guess is so much its own thing that everyone's like, yeah, it's fine.
I'm not so sure about Marvel stuff just because of Disney Infinity. They've got that locked down pretty tight, even though, obviously, Lego Marvel games exist. But
there's Lego Marvel movies too.
I mean, I guess they could.
That's ridiculous to say Lego Marvel movie.
It's up to Marvel whether or not they want to double dip or not, but I wouldn't be surprised either way if they do or don't.
They would have to, considering how much, smack they're going on Fox for not wanting to play with, not willing to work with them. I think it would look bad for them if they all of a sudden, no, we don't want to do this.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, I imagine they still get paid either way. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they've got Disney, which owns Marvel, has so much invested in Disney Infinity. I wouldn't be surprised if they would rather just keep them over there.
Time will tell. Time will tell. By the way, did you hear about Deadpool getting killed off?
Oh yeah, months ago. They announced that months ago. They're like, oh yeah, Deadpool's gonna die. Like Marvel, they sent out a press release thing, like with their solicits, like, yeah, Deadpool's totally gonna die in like 6 months. And everyone's like, okay, thanks, but no, I guess.
Yeah, from what I understand, the issue is out now. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't checked it out. I haven't checked out the new Deadpool series in about a year and a half or so.
I got to tell you, this shows you how serious Marvel is about ending all support for the X-Men and whatever.
No, I mean, well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's like they make serious. You know how many Deadpool clothing wear I see all over the place?
Because Fox is pretty much gearing up for that Deadpool movie, right? They got Ryan Reynolds already all sealed up.
Yep, he even tweeted out a picture of him in the suit.
Right, yeah, and yeah, I guess that would be in line with their other killings off. Not creating any more X-Men for the comics, and just completely canceling the Fantastic Four book.
Yeah.
That's
I guess shame, actually, the Fantastic Four.
I hate the entire thing. Like, they're ruining they're ruining the comic stuff that actually matters with their pettiness. It's like, God damn it.
So how did they explain? So are the Fantastic Four still around, or they just don't have their own comic?
I'm pretty sure they'll still be around. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like they always hang out with the Avengers and Spider-Man. But yeah, I don't know.
Reed Richards is probably on an island just making fake Thors or whatever. Civil War reference, folks. All right. All right. Well, going back on topic here, I think it's pretty cool. This idea, I could see it working, especially if, depending on how grand the constructs can be. Like, imagine if it recognized each block and whatever you arranged it as, it appeared on the TV.
That would be cool, but that sounds like it would make it prohibitively expensive.
$12,000. But imagine the light on your kid's face.
Oh man, you can't put a price on your child's happiness. Yes, you can, actually.
$12,000. I just said. All right, what's the next story?
Let's see. We got a couple of teases as well. With Famitsu and Bandai Namco cooperatively launching a mysterious new countdown site over somewhere on the internet.
That's a safe bet, yeah.
Famitsu.com/something or other. And this countdown apparently ends on April 13th. Apparently, the clock also corresponds with your computer's time, so you can just set your clock for after April 13th. And that it just kind of shows this weird, just this weird image of sharp change over a city. So it doesn't really tell you exactly what it is, even if you cheat the clock or whatever. But we'll know a little bit more in about a week.
Sharp change over city?
Sharp chains. Oh. Here, I'll show you. Here, you can take a look and see what you make of it, because I don't know. It's weird that Famitsu, Famitsu being the kind of a leading Japanese games publication, I don't know what stake they would have with Bandai Namco for them to.
Well, this could only be the new Sharp Chain simulator that it has coming out.
Sure.
It's weird.
Like Famitsu's involvement makes it weirder.
Right. I don't know. I honestly don't have any idea what it could be just from this picture.
Okay, stay tuned for the next episode.
All right. Oh, speaking of staying tuned, last week I said we'd update you, and I'm going to, when we were talking about Spotify and whether.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I
did not look into that, so please fill me in here.
Well, you'll be happy to know that even if you don't have the $9.99 thing, you can still use the free version of Spotify.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so you can listen to free music. An ad will pop up here and there, but aside from that, you got.
I'd love to put it on when I finally start playing Bloodborne, and I'm listening to Spotify, and then all of a sudden a commercial for Subway $5 footlongs comes on. That'd be great.
And the monster starts doing the hand size, 5.
No, the boss morphs into pre-Subway Jared.
Imagine when technology gets to a point where if the game hears a commercial, it'll put like a sign for like Subway or whatever.
Suddenly, Michael Strahan's on screen. It's like, what?
Oh man! All right. So aside from spiky chains, what else happened this week?
Let's see. Square Enix isn't done announcing stuff, I guess, because their Japanese studios are apparently working on something as well. Although theirs is a little bit more vague. What they've got is, if you go to jp.squareenix.com/secrets, it shows a strange or mysterious image of basically just the planet Earth. And people are speculating based on the letters and the imagery that are on screen that maybe it's a new Star Ocean game. I don't know if you've played much Star Ocean, Malcolm, being a big
game. I played Star Ocean 2 on PS2 forever ago.
Yeah, like I know there are a couple of PSP games that came out either concurrently or close to each other. Because I remember seeing them on shelves in stores where it's like, hey, look at these 2 different games. They have different halves of box art. But I think, what would the next one be if it was Star Ocean 5?
I think so. I think that was the only Star Ocean I really played, thinking back on it.
Okay. Would you be excited for a new Star Ocean game, Malcolm? Because I would wager heavily on this.
Sure. I would be very interested in it. Obviously, I'd want to see some footage first here and see how it looks on PS4. But yeah, I would be definitely pumped up for it.
Good.
I take it you're not that pumped up for it, or?
I mean, I've heard lots of reverent things about the Star Ocean series. So, I would be excited on behalf of people being excited. It's like, yeah, nice to be excited about a video game that hasn't been around in a while. So, yeah, Star Ocean, man. It'd be nice to see, even if it wasn't something I actually played. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I understand completely. It's like how I just got into really Persona, and I'm really stoked for Persona 5. So,
man.
Oh, yeah, it looks
that actually does come out this year. I will be over the fucking moon. Everything I keep seeing is like, oh yeah, 2015, and like there's no indication of Japan 2015, and North America, Europe, 2016. Like it just seems like everything I see, it's just 2015 across the board, and it's like, oh man, it's making me very anxiously excited.
Imagine if it came out December 31st. Like they pushed it that close to the limit. It's still 2015, motherfucker.
Oh man, let me tell you, if I don't even know what day of the week that is, but if that were that'd be hilarious if it was like, oh yeah, December 31st is a Thursday. But if it was like a Tuesday, that'd be very annoying to be like in retail, like I gotta stack this even though we're closed tomorrow.
Oh god. All right, what else happened this week?
Let's see, one final half tease here, and this would have normally been higher if the circumstances were a little less shaky. But apparently, an Uncharted trilogy for PlayStation 4 remastered thing was spotted on a Swedish retail site before apparently it's been taken down. Does not exist.
Shocking.
The Swedish retailer is called CD, CEDE, and they listed the game apparently. The product description simply reads, Uncharted 1 through 3 in HD, more information soon, with a listed September 30th release date. The only weird thing about it is that, there's a screen grab of the page allegedly, but the box art that they use is a fan-made box art from a little while ago that somebody made on like Reddit or something probably. That's the image that they used for this listing apparently. So that kind of makes it a little shaky. As much as I think that they will make a remastered trilogy.
Yeah, I think we've been like joking about this forever. Like every time we've talked about a remaster, we're like, oh, it'll be out in time for that Uncharted trilogy remaster.
Right, but this particular instance of a retail listing doesn't that strike me as very legitimate because of the box art situation.
Yeah, but don't be mistaken. It's going to happen. I mean,
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think this particular thing bogus.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. All right, what's the next story?
Like I'd like to think Sony would not use a fan-made box. I think they have their own people over at Naughty Dog. But anyway, interesting news here is that the head of Visceral Games, Steve Papoutsis, 15-year veteran of the studio, has left EA and the studio as well. Just less than a month after the launch of the studio's most recent title, Battlefield Hardline. Yeah, he was the general manager over there. EA senior communications manager John Reisberg confirmed the move with GameSpot, saying, "I can confirm Steve is no longer with EA. We are thankful for Steve's many contributions to EA and wish him the best." Of course,
in his future endeavors.
in his future endeavors. Let's see, 13-year EA veteran Scott Probst has taken over as general manager for Visceral. He also stressed that Visceral's work schedule will continue without interruption in the wake of the shakeup. He said, quote, the Visceral team continues to be focused on new game content for Battlefield Hardline, including expansion packs, as well as new development projects. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess, the new leadership is not inexperienced by any means, so not much lost in stride there. It's just interesting that, in this 15 years, he's, made, most famously, I would guess, I would say Dead Space was the franchise that they headed up over at Visceral with him at the helm. So interesting, especially interesting just with the timing of the game Battlefield's release.
Now, there's a trilogy I wouldn't mind getting remastered and moved over to the PS4.
Yeah.
I would love Dead Space, but well, that's too bad, though. It seems like it was an agreed split, an amicable split, I guess.
I suppose. I mean, I forget who exactly at the studio was. It might have been Paputzis, but, they were kind of like in the lead up to Battlefield Hardline. Somebody somewhere in the studio was asked about, like, hey, so what about Dead Space? And they're like, yeah, we'd love to revisit that when the time is right. I think it might have been Paputzis who was talking about that. So kind of interesting. I'm surprised that he would leave before, that got off the ground, I guess.
Oh, well, he'll be fine, I imagine.
Yeah, probably. I mean, for sure. I mean, his resume pretty great. So he'll be fine.
Beauty. All right. What's next?
Next we have here's an interesting story, I thought. Remember, just last week we were talking about, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt being a big-ass game, 200 hours apparently.
I recall that, yeah.
We're also talking about the game's pretty impressive DLC plan. 16 bits of DLC would be pretty much free, with and the studio, when we first learned of that, the studio was like, yeah, we figure paying for DLC isn't usually ideal. So, we just want to offer a bunch of free DLC for our players as a thank you. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So, of course, this week, The Witcher 3 is getting 2 big paid expansions and an expansion pass as well for $24.99, I believe, with the paid expansions being a part of, expansion pass. If players want to purchase the add-on separately, Hearts of Stone, slated for release in October, will cost $9.99, and Blood and Wine, slated for release during the first 3 months of 2016, will cost $19.99.
Yeah, in their defense, if they did say at some point, if we were to do paid expansion, we'd want it to be a big we'd want it to be like meaty, and it's like 10 hours each expansion pack. I would say
apparently,
that's pretty meaty.
Apparently they combine for over 30. So there's that.
I would say that's worth $9.99.
Yeah, they said that, and that's fair. And the price is fair for what it is. But it's just I'm always annoyed. I mean, I'm already annoyed whenever I hear about an expansion pass for a game, weeks or even months before it's even released. Especially here, just because it's like the game's already 200 hours long. I don't have to hear about 30 more hours for an extra $25. Let me enjoy the 200 hours first. See what I get out of that before I think about adding more to that, possibly.
Yeah, I see.
That's just me. That's just me.
That's just my 2 cents.
That's just the way I see it.
I'm cool with this. I mean, you don't need to get the expansion pack, Joe. Though I'm curious if you're getting this game.
I'm excited for the game for sure. It's just that I'm not excited about being. I'm not excited about being asked for another $25.
You will pay the $50 and like it.
Man.
Well, I'm curious to see if you like this one, because you didn't like the way Dragon Age played. So this one.
No, but I mean, I saw both The Witcher and Dragon Age over at E3.
Yeah, you actually played The Witcher.
No, I didn't. It was
Oh, you were watching someone play it. Okay.
Yeah, I was watching one of the developers play. Being 25 other people. It was like a room of 25 people watching one of the developers play. And they also gave away beer for everybody there. So it was.
In the spirit of the game, all of us will have sex with wenches. Awesome.
And each other. Wait, what? But I mean, yeah, like what I saw was very impressive, including the combat. It looked very nice. Whereas, I came away from Dragon Age and I was like, like this, like, I mean, people who liked Dragon Age already seemed excited coming out of that demo, but I was like, this seems okay. And then I played it and I was like, yeah, this is okay, I guess. my previous affirmation being correct then. Go ahead. But my impressions of The Witcher coming out of E3 I was much more excited for that than I was for Dragon.
These last 2 years, by the way, have been great for fantasy video games. Shadows of Mordor, Dragon Age. I would put Bloodborne in that category, and Witcher 3. I mean, gosh darn.
I would say, Dark Souls 2 would fit better than Bloodborne. Bloodborne seems more Victorian Gothic than anything else.
Oh, here we go.
I'm
the
just saying.
contrarian Garcia.
I'm correcting your stylistic impression.
Actually,
that's the quality of the game at all. I'm just saying that you're looking at.
I know you're not saying it's a bad game, Jeff.
Like I said, nothing of the quality. I'm just saying that you're categorizing it incorrectly.
This is clearly Victorian era gameplay here, good sir.
Obviously.
Shaking his wine glass as he says this. Monocle in Joe's eyes. By the way, have you played it?
No.
You still haven't played Bloodborne yet?
I want to play it for sure. I bought it, so I'm going to at least play it at some point. But I want to, I haven't gone back to Final Fantasy Type 0 yet. And that's when I started first, because I bought it like a week and a half before. I bought Bloodborne, so I figured it's like, I'll at least try the Final Fantasy. You said,
We're reviewing the game today, and you haven't even put it in the PS4 yet.
Man, I've heard so many people talk about this game. I feel like I've played half of it anyway.
Oh, for
like, no matter what podcast you listen to, like, if it's even remotely game related, it's like it starts with like 25 or 30 minutes of Bloodborne talk.
Okay, normally that would be an indication that it's a good game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just saying.
And it would thus propel you to want to, I don't know, take the Blu-ray out of the box and at least put it in the PS4.
a few more podcasts listen to, and I won't even have to play it.
The next story, Joe, please.
What is the next story? Okay, here's some weird 2K news coming specifically from NBA 2K14. Because at the end of March, I think, the original story here, on March 31st, 2K Sports terminated online services for NBA 2K14, just a bit over 14 months since the game's release. But it caused some unexpected consequences for those invested in the game, apparently. When the shutdown was announced, 2K issued a statement to Polygon indicating that career progress would be safe. It would just be transitioned from an online structure to an offline file, along with a move from the game's real money VC currency to an in-game earned skill point system. Like the VC currency, right? You know what it is, right?
Oh, yeah.
You earn it, and you can buy it, whatever.
But you earn it. You can get card packs to unlock characters for your own NBA team, and you can buy stuff and level your character. It does all sorts of stuff.
Right. So they took down the servers for this game, and reports emerged almost immediately that, hey, my career, in fact, does not work. I cannot play this game offline anymore if I want to continue my career. What's up with that? And apparently, Polygon received further documentation directly from 2K support indicating that this is working as intended. So, they published responses received from company's customer support line that indicates this issue is both known and accepted. So what happened was, since then, 2K has reinstated the online servers, which should restore saves for affected players. Also, as a result of the situation, publisher has changed its policies regarding providing online services. Quote from 2K. 2K has restored the NBA 2K14 servers for all online services. Beginning today, we are extending the support of all NBA 2K servers from 18 to 27 months following each release, giving our players more time to experience and enjoy the highest rated NBA simulation video game franchise. The opinions of our community continue to have a positive impact on our business decisions as we strive to create the best possible experience for all of our fans. So, I don't know. It's really weird that they were like, you'll be able to play your game offline, after the servers go down. Because, it's just weird that they put those online hooks into your career mode, so that when they terminate the servers, it's like, oh yeah, you can continue offline, even if you played the mode offline the entire time. That's shitty. They shouldn't be able to do that. But thankfully, I guess if you want to keep it on for a little while, you'll have, I guess, 27 months following the release. So that probably gives you till about, well, I guess the end of this year or the beginning of 2016. So if you insist on playing NBA 2K14's career mode, get it while the getting's good.
Wow, that is so weird, having a time limit on a game like that.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's fine with servers, for online play or whatever, because, they release a game every year. It'd be nice if they had them online for a few years, but I understand the business model of, wanting to push new product every single year. So that's fine, whatever.
And plus, I imagine keeping the servers up costs a bit of money.
Sure, but, if you want to shut them down and that affects, online versus play, whatever, but it shouldn't affect your single-player career mode. That's dumb and terrible.
Agreed. All right, what's the next story?
Let's see, one other short sports game story. We talked about the renamed Rory McIlroy PGA Tour. When they announced that game, they announced that the announce team for the game was no longer, what was his name? Jim Nance over from CBS. They're using the guys that do the Golf Channel stuff. And the weird thing about Jim Nance, the CBS guy, is that with Jim Nance, he's also the exclusive announcer for the Masters when that happens over at Augusta Golf Club or whatever. And the weird thing is that, weirdly, the Jim Nance license is tied to the Masters license. So whenever everybody saw that these Golf Channel guys were doing the commentary for this game instead, it's like, so are the Masters in the game? And the answer is no. The license with Augusta National has expired, apparently. It also means that the game will not include the Masters, one of the 4 major tournaments on the PGA calendar.
That was the only tournament I actually knew of, is the Masters.
Yeah, it's usually the only one people know, or at least the non-golf people knowing the people. So in a tweet from the official EA Sports Golf pages, it has been suggested that the course may be added as post-launch DLC. So if you're holding out hope for doing a quick 18 on the Augusta National course, fingers crossed.
By the way, did you hear that Tiger Woods apparently sucks?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember if I mentioned that when we were talking about the original announcement of the newly branded game. But yeah, he's been pretty terrible for the last couple of years, to the point where I think he basically stepped down. He said, "I'm not coming back until I feel my game is back up to up to snuff."
Well, he's in the Masters right now.
Oh well, I'm okay. I guess he wanted to come back in time for that at least.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's ranked he's not even the top 100 anymore.
Yeah, it's really weird how that. Yeah, I mean, sports talent is a fickle thing. For sure.
It was all downhill after it was revealed who cheated on his wife. And then...
Basically, but I mean, the weird thing about that is that that's not surprising coming from a professional athlete at all. So it's like, why would that affect Tiger any differently? But who knows?
Just goes to show, if you're going to be a celebrity or a famous athlete, don't get married.
Yeah, I'd probably recommend that anyway. If you're an athlete or not.
Oh, come on now.
Woo!
All right. Well, enough happy golf news. What else happened this week?
Remember Dragon's Dogma Online, Malcolm? That's the game that Capcom alleges is going to come out at some point.
Oh, dear.
That game is still on course, apparently, but they have confirmed that it will run at 1080p and in 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 4. During a recent meeting in Tokyo, a game director, Kent Kinoshita, also revealed that PlayStation 3 version will perform slightly below that of its next-gen counterpart, with a resolution of 720p and a frame rate of 30.
Do we even need a freaking press conference to announce that the PS3 version isn't going to be as good as the PS4 version anymore?
Yes, we do. We need a Skyrider. We need a blimp. we need the works. Anyway, additionally, I don't know if this was confirmed before, but there will be cross-platform play apparently across PS4, PS3, and PC. Let's see. Capcom was also careful to point out that while the PS4 version does run at 60 frames, it isn't locked to that frame rate. So when players enter areas with large crowds or whatnot, the frame rate will adjust accordingly. So there you go.
Call that the Killzone Shadowfall rule right there.
I guess. This was announced earlier this year, but it's currently only confirmed for release in Japan. BTW.
All right. What else? Do you have anything to say on this for everybody?
Absolutely not.
All righty. Moving on.
Going back to Malcolm's opening segment of video games, Blizzard has indeed released a patch for Diablo III Reaper of Souls on PC and consoles. Patch 2.2. And the biggest highlight, and this report is from Game Informer, the biggest highlight of the patch is the addition of new sets and legendary items, which can add hours of adventuring for dedicated players. Full patch notes are below, but it's the highlights here. 3 new sets have been added to the game: Wrath of the Wastes for Barbarian, Unhallowed Essence for Demon Hunters, and Delcyr's Magnum Opus for Wizards. More than 10 of the existing sets have been redesigned, including at least one class-specific set for each class. Changes made to a set bonus will retroactively be updated, so players will not need to find new versions of these sets in order to benefit from these changes. There you go. Over 20 new legendary items. More than 30 of the existing legendary items have been redesigned, and old versions of these legendary items found previous to this patch will not be automatically updated with redesigned powers and will need to be found again to benefit from these changes. Let's see. 3 new treasure goblins have been added to the game, can only be found in adventure mode. Several new rift maps have been added. Several monsters and rift guardians have been updated. Looting crafting materials and gems is now easier, apparently. You'll now increase your blood shard limit by completing greater rifts while solo, and regular potions are now bottomless and no longer drop per month. What does that mean? Have you noticed? What can you tell me about these potions now? These regular. What do it mean?
Wait, say that again.
Regular potions are now bottomless and no longer drop from monsters.
There's there's various different kinds of potions. There's greater potions, large potions, and they restore more mana. Before, you could have no potions, and all they do is recharge your health.
Right. So, do they all just now completely fill your health? Is that what that means?
From what I understand, you now have you'll always have a potion in there. Now, don't think okay. Now, for those of you who aren't initiated to the game, don't think you could just press L1 repeatedly.
Yeah, there's still a cooldown.
Yeah, there's a cooldown, and you could still die during that cooldown.
All right, but you now have unlimited potions.
Indeed.
Okay, that's cool.
Even though I haven't pressed that potion button in forever with my character, so.
Yeah, Diablo 3, that's a real great game on PlayStation.
It is, and credit to Blizzard. They know how to. They're still supporting it, and it's still a blast to play.
Blizzard, of course, is very great with putting their games post-release, so that's not surprising.
And Joe, I know we were going to wait till later, but I'll announce it right now. Thanks to this patch, Diablo 3 is once again in the Game of the Year tournament this year. It's going to be great as it's a completely different game. So
that's not true at all.
It's completely
different. Those things are happening.
Joe, tradition.
Okay.
If they release an expansion pack, then there you go. Though I doubt it. But in all due seriousness, though, typically, I'd be talking about, wow, I can't wait for Diablo 3, but I'm still playing Diablo 4, excuse me, but I'm still loving Diablo 3, and they still do all these little tweaks to it that make it even better experience each time. So awesome. It's after doing stories on 2K shutting down servers after a year's time. It's cool to see a company still putting all this work into theirs. So awesome.
And you can still throw it out on StarCraft, for crying out loud. So. And I'm talking about OG StarCraft, released in 1997 or 1998 StarCraft.
Yeah. Sadly, that game will never come to consoles. I think it just works better on a PC.
Well, that's not true at all. StarCraft, sir, you can play right now if you dig up your Nintendo 64.
Really?
And an expansion pack, and you can throw it on some StarCraft Brood War multiplayer.
Brood War.
By the way, somehow, even though the N64 version is pretty much inferior to the PC version in pretty much every single way, except that you can select 18 units at one time compared to the 12 you can select on PC. And that's literally the only advantage it has.
Yes, Joe, that certainly is the only advantage. All right, what's the next story?
All right, so commercial failure Tomb Raider 2013 has now eclipsed the 8.5 million sold mark across all 5 of its platforms. There you go. What you got to say to that, Square Enix?
Well, I hear that Square Enix came out and bowed for a half hour and apologized for the shit sales.
Oh man,
I was actually playing that the other day. It's such a good game.
Yeah, it is for sure. What made you go back to it?
I couldn't go back to sleep one morning, and I was watching Angry Joe's review of the game, and it's rare to hear him just go on about how great a game is. And so I popped it back in nostalgia, but I still remember when I got that game.
Nostalgia. The game's not even 2 years old.
It isn't.
You make it sound like you were putting Mario Kart 64 in.
I still remember fondly when I was a lad of 32 and popping in that Blu-ray into my PS3. And just like, I remember going into an area and just staying there trying to hunt down all those little treasures that were hidden all over the place.
Yeah.
Because God forbid you missed one of them and you had to go back all over the goddamn map. But, oh god, such an amazing story, such amazing graphics, great sound. I mean, I was emotionally invested in trying to get Lara Croft to survive. Hey man, such a good game. If you haven't played it, it's not often we recommend a remastered version, but if you haven't played it, pick it up on PS4 if you have a PS4, or even just PS3 version is still amazing. Go
yeah, and interestingly, let's see, this is the third franchise record for this game. Apparently, it's already sold, like it's got the Tomb Raider record for most sold in its first day and its first month, and this now makes it the top-selling game in the series overall. So.
Awesome. Well, it's good to hear, and Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to be amazing. It's just a shame that we're going to have to wait a little longer to pick it up.
Oh, you'll have.
What's that?
I said you'll have to wait.
Yeah. Oh, you'll have to.
I'll be fine.
How long do you think it'll be till it shows up on PS4?
It's got to be at least.
You think it's going to be like a full calendar year? Because it could come out in December, and then next month is a year.
Yeah, okay. A full calendar year, Malcolm. A full 365-ish days.
Hey, Crystal Dynamics could have pulled a fast one on Microsoft. You don't know
that. I'm pretty sure Microsoft has a legal department that makes sure that that's not the case.
Well, maybe they suck, Joe.
I would guess not, Malcolm.
Yeah, maybe they were drunk that day.
Maybe they were sleepy. They scheduled a contract signing too early in the morning one day.
December 2015 to January 2016? Oh, that sounds fine. All right. I don't know. Just the way they kept saying holiday of 2015, exclusive for the holiday of 2015. That just saying it like that makes me think, okay, 2016. But you could be right. A year from then would it be holiday 2016? But we'll see. We'll see. All right. What's the next story?
Here's an interesting story coming out of Oakland, California. The Museum of Art and Digital Entertainment there is apparently showcasing a new exhibit highlighting women in game development. And their exhibit pretty much profiles a lot of notable women over the years and their contribution to the games industry. There's apparently sections on Roberta Williams, who made King's Quest, the original game, Carol Shaw, who made River Raid over on Atari, Reiko Kodama, who worked on Phantasy Star, Yoko Shimomura, who made a lot of music for Street Fighter II, Danielle Bunton-Berry, who made 7 Studios of Gold, Amy Hennig, of course, Naughty Dog sweetheart, who made, although her work being featured here is Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which is also a terrific game, by the way. Mm-hmm. Corin Yu for Anachronics, a game, I guess a PC game that I've never heard of, so maybe I should head over to this museum. And Kim Swift, who made Portal. So all this stuff will be on display starting on April 12th, Sunday, April 12th, from 12 to 6 p.m., when they will be hosting a gala opening for the exhibit. So there you go. That seems cool if you're in the area.
Awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next story?
Let's see. Speaking of feel-good stuff here, PlayStation Heroes, the charity initiative that Sony launched a little while ago, where you download an app to your PS4 and you can buy themes that go to charity, and also enter you for a chance to win a gameplay session against a celebrity. Like they just did one with Yasuel Puig from the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the next one coming up is Snoop Dogg. If you buy one of the themes between now and April 21st, you can get a chance to play Snoop in some FIFA 15 somewhere. So if you want to go do that, go do that.
I remember seeing Snoop Dogg when he showed up on Raw. And it's so weird to put him next to a wrestler because his arms are so skinny, he looks malnourished next to a professional wrestler.
It's weird to see him next to Hulk Hogan. It's like, wow, what year is this? It's 1993 again. Doggy Style is an amazing LP.
Wow, Hulk, let's kick it doggy style.
Let's see. And another interesting nugget that I think is neat here. Where did it go? Yes, apparently with the help of many for that last campaign with the SEL Puig, players successfully donated over $300,000 to Sony's charity partners. So good on you, PlayStation Nation.
Yeah, a little bit for charity never hurts. And then you can kill Snoop Dogg in FIFA, so it'll be great.
Wow, that's got to be an intense FIFA mod.
Well, you need to bring it against Snoop Dogg, Joe. Listen up.
Yeah. Well, Snoop, I'm sure has a lot of time on his hands for video games, so I'm pretty sure he gets down. He gets down.
Yeah, he gets down on his couch and plays that FIFA. I imagine when you're pretty much a rap god and you can just retire at age 30. Yeah, you have plenty of time to play video games.
Man, I wonder if we get to burn one. That'd be nice. That'd be interesting.
I wonder if Snoop Dogg is pissed off about Zelda getting delayed.
Almost certainly, I would bet so.
Man, this is bullshit.
He's got a Gage and Uzi in the motherfucking 22, and he is not afraid to use them.
Careful going home, Miyamoto. No.
Oh God.
Speed it up now. All right, what's the next game?
Let's see. We got some PlayStation blog game announcements here. Apparently, you'll be able to buy Cuba-based puzzler Bloxic, Bloxiq. That's coming to PlayStation Vita on April 14th. So this coming week, I guess. This coming Tuesday. Is there a price on here? I don't see a price, but as a puzzle game, it can be too expensive, but let's see. The description reads as follows. We wanted to create a whole new type of puzzle game that returned to the classic philosophy of easy to learn and difficult to master games like Intelligent Cube, Devil Dice, or Echo Crow. While there is a definite solution instead of relying on luck, where there is a definite solution instead of relying on luck to be able to progress. Those are good games that they reference, so be worth checking out if the price is right.
And it could be checked out if the price is right.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, classic. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Another game is Smugglecraft, coming by way of Happy Badger Studio. That's coming to PlayStation 4. What do they say? The early spring 2016, I believe, as a console exclusive for PS4. And what Smugglecraft is a simple hovercraft racing game with randomly generated tracks, and they seem to want to do something new in a long-established genre. Apparently, the studio has been making casual mobile games for about 4 years now, and while we all wanted to work on something bigger, it never seemed like the right time. It seemed logical for us to keep the idea for Smugglecraft as small as we could while remaining true to our original vision. So yeah, like they've got some pretty neat looking GIFs here on the PlayStation blog if you want to check them out. Kind of reminds me of Race the Sky. I don't know if you saw that when that came out on PS4, but it seems like a hovercraft version of that.
I did not see Race the Sky.
Yeah, Race the Sky is basically an infinite runner on PlayStation. Well, I don't know if the levels are actually infinite, but
did we talk about this last week? The infinite runner, or
no? Wow. That game was Infinity Runner.
Oh, okay.
What Race the Sun is you are literally racing the sun. You're in the craft where you're trying to go as long as possible before the sun sets, and the faster you go, the longer the sun stays up, basically. So yeah, and this seems kind of like that.
Spring 2016. This is a little early, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. It does for sure. That's the only thing that kind of bugs me for that. It's like, especially as a smaller indie thing, coming from a smaller studio, that seems ill-advised. But the game seems fun, so hopefully we don't forget about it before it comes out.
I guess they have to address the demand right there. Yeah, the crowd wants their Smugglecraft.
And with that, I'm all out of news now, unless you've got to add.
Nope. The only thing I really wanted to mention was the Diablo stuff, and you covered that. So I guess it's time for the drop.
Yes, sir. And this week we've got a bunch of new stuff here. Aru's Awakening on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 as a digital cross-buy game. You can grab that for a certain amount of money. I don't know. It's not listed. Not listed with the paid stuff, but it's free for PlayStation Plus anyway, so you should probably just grab it that way. Bastion is finally out on PlayStation 4 as a digital title for the fine price of $14.99.
And I will be picking that game up right there.
Yep, and as the Spring Fever title for the week, you can get an additional 10% off if you've got PlayStation Plus. So there you go. Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3, digital and retail. I believe you can grab that for $39.99 on PS3. $59.99 on PS4.
And for those of you that are currently considering it, I just want to let you know, trust me, the updated graphics and especially the 60 frames per second does a tremendous difference to it. Plus, they've changed the layout of the enemies, like most famously in the Hyde's Blue Tower of Flame. There are actually Hyde Knights there now, which there were none before, which really made no sense when you think about it, but they're there now. And on top of that, there's a big old dragon in the middle of this very thin tower, so there's challenge galore all over it now. So if you can beat it this time around, good luck to you.
It feels more of a make good for Xbox One owners than anything else. Because I mean, it feels weird that this release is 2 or 3 weeks or after Bloodborne does on PS4. So it feels like how many people do you expect to pick this up on PS4 after having already picked up Bloodborne?
I don't know. It'll be very interesting. The fact that they're not charging full price is good.
Well, it's full price on PS4. It's
okay.
On PS3 where it's $39.99.
Oh, another thing to mention. So it comes with all 3 DLC, which
right.
If you beat each DLC and then beat the game, you can unlock a different ending that sort of is an official victory for you, so to speak. But I digress. Going back to the sales, I think that Bloodborne is going to destroy it. The biggest telltale thing, Mr. Miyazaki, who's the guy, or I can't remember his first name, but last name is Miyazaki. He's the guy behind Demon Souls and the first Dark Souls. He did not work on the second one,
right.
And his influence is greatly missed in that in Dark Souls 2. Not saying it wasn't a good game by any stretch of the imagination, but you could tell that his thought process wasn't involved in there. Meanwhile, with Bloodborne, you can definitely feel it all over the place, and the game is better for it. It'll be interesting. Like Dark Souls 2, while I would say Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne, for that matter, were difficult, not for the sake of being difficult, but just for the sake of you learning how to do something differently and then feeling amazing when you did it. Dark Souls is like, oh, let's just put all these enemies here and we'll make it more difficult. It's like, no. Still a great game. I still loved and I played it for 114 hours, but I think Bloodborne is the more looked forward to of the 2 games. I mean, especially since it's a remastered copy. But then again, Dark Souls 2 looks amazing now. It looks like you're playing it from a PC, which it looks amazing on PC. So I would give the edge to Bloodborne.
Okay, but let's say somebody that has a PS4, they play Bloodborne, and it's the first, I guess, Souls game that they've played. Would you recommend I like Bloodborne? Should they pick up Dark Souls 2 after playing through Bloodborne? Do you think that would be a wise decision for a serious newbie to make after playing through the first game or playing through Bloodborne?
Well, if they have a PS3, I would recommend either Dark Souls or Demon Souls, and then...
Well, I mean, I'm talking about going to this fancy version that they've just...
I would warn them it's not going to be quite the same. Mainly because, and I'll get into it in the review that we got going up, but there's 2 different strategies for playing it. Dark Souls 2 is still the shield and sword method. Meanwhile, with Bloodborne, there's no shield anymore, so you just need to get in there, so... So I think they would still, that given the gameplay, it would be different enough that, it could be a unique experience. I'm never not going to recommend Dark Souls 2. I'm just saying it's a shame that they don't quite follow through with how the previous games did. That's all.
There are other games here. They're released this week. By the way, Element 4i, I think, is an immersive and experimental platform game for your PlayStation Vita. As a digital title, grab that thing for Element 4L for $10, $9.99. Crinkle Crusher as a 3-way cross-buy game on PS4, PS3, and Vita. You can grab that for $9.99. What kind of game is that exactly? It's an action castle defense where you cast elemental spells to defend your kingdom from... Okay, it's a tower defense game. Monster Bag on PlayStation Vita for $9.99. It's also one of the PlayStation Plus games that released this week, so you can grab it that way as well. Stealth Inc. 2, a game of clones, is out on PlayStation 4, 3, and Vita as a digital 3-way cross-buy thing for $14.99. Alternately, though, I would recommend going with Stealth Inc. 1 and 2 Ultimate-ist Edition, which includes both Stealth Inc. games and all of their DLC for just $16.99, for just an extra $2 base. So that's probably the way to go if you're interested in those games. And finally, Tower of Guns as PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 digital cross-buy game, $14.99, also free with PlayStation Plus. Also, you can finally pre-order The Elder Scrolls Online, Tamriel Unlimited, for PlayStation 4 for $59.99, or the Imperial Edition for $79.99. And also pre-order The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, the game and expansion pass for $84.99. let's see. There seems to be a sale on Game of Thrones stuff on the PlayStation Store, including that. Actually, I don't know. No, it does not include the terrible Atlas game that I mentioned last week. Dragon Age stuff is on sale. Lego stuff seems to be on sale for movies. Or what's on sale? I don't know. I'm not sure. But that seems to be it for stuff. Unless I'm missing something here.
You excited, by the way, for the Game of Thrones coming back?
Yes. Yes, I am.
April 12th. Don't forget, you have my HBO now.
I will be taking full advantage of that, believe you me. And Daredevil is out on Netflix this week.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Tomorrow.
It looks so brutal.
I've heard amazing things about it. Apparently I've seen reviews for like the first 5 episodes or something. And they seem to be very positive. I'm excited for my day off tomorrow.
I heard amazing things about a Marvel TV series. Get out.
Well, I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Was off to a slow start, so it's nice to see that this is strong out of the gate.
Oh, yeah. I've been enjoying Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, since you brought it up, I wanted to ask you something. My wife speculated this when we were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I think it's a valid point, so I wanted your take on this.
Okay.
Now, we've joked about Civil War and how it's going to play out, because the whole thing with Civil War was mutant registration and revealing your secret identity, except all the Marvel characters in the Marvel universe, at least as of right now, we know who they are. Everyone knows who they are. Tony Stark announced it on national TV. But for those of you who haven't been following, right now they just introduced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. essentially what will become the Inhumans. And S.H.I.E.L.D., there are 2 different factions of S.H.I.E.L.D. now, and they're both scared of them. Is that going to be what Civil War is going to be like? Except instead of involving superheroes and registering them, they want to register the Inhumans. And then you have Captain America fighting to keep them free, and then Tony Stark wanting to, quote-unquote, register them for the good of mankind.
That would be interesting. That'd be an interesting way to go. The only thing is that, that movie comes out, 2016? So that's what is that the next movie after, I mean, there's Ant-Man after Avengers, but is that the next movie after that?
I believe so.
And Inhumans is 2017 or 2018?
It is a long ways away, and I think it's interesting that they're starting to build up with them now. Like, this is, there are no mutants, folks, as a result of Fox, so now they're just Inhumans. So they're using Inhumans to explain everything.
Yeah.
Including Skye, who's an Inhuman now, too. That's not a spoiler. That's been going on forever. But
it was also very obvious, kind of like, as they were leading up to that Terrigen mist or whatever, it's like, oh, he's cool.
Well, I didn't even know about all of that until it happened. I thought she was Kree.
Nah. You were wrong, mate.
Well, like I said, I know jack about the Inhumans. I only started researching after the whole Terrigen mist thing happened.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else to discuss this week, buddy?
The only other notable thing here on the drop is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare as a new gold edition for the old price of $59.99. That gets you the full game plus Havoc, which is the first DLC pack for the game. So there you go. That's a good price for a good amount of content if you're into that. And if you have not picked up the game already, there you go.
Alrighty, folks. Topic of the week this week. I'm gonna review Bloodborne. I would say but Joe didn't play it. So that's coming up later. But first, folks, we're going to introduce a brand new segment to the show. Coming Attractions. All right. And for those of you curious what it is, essentially, we talk about video games coming. That's part of the news segment, which Joe says we don't do news because we're not newscasters, but it's called news. Anyway, we talk about stuff coming, and a lot of times we don't really get to say how we feel about stuff, because we're trying to be objective, at least some of the time. So
I'm pretty sure we're never objective.
We're never objective.
We're pretty much never objective.
But we try to speed it up in order to get through the show. So with coming attractions, if there's a game that one of us, Joe, is excited about, in this case me, we will essentially pitch it to the audience, including you, Joe, and hopefully get people on board to want to try this game out and get it off its feet, and hopefully sell really well. And for this week's show, I'm going with indie developer NetherRealm Studios and their latest, Mortal Kombat X.
I love the way you put it. Like, they don't have a mammoth marketing budget behind this game. Like it's not going to sell millions the first month or whatever.
Oh, of course.
It needs our help with our 300 listeners every week.
Hey, word of mouth really helps. So I'm just going to discuss really quick some of the things that I like about it. Which, number one, there's 25 characters, including Goro, who is available if you pre-order him, as well as a combat pack, which includes old Mortal Kombat characters Tanya and Trimmer, as well as Jason Voorhees, yes, that Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, and the Predator. And each one of the... What's that?
Around.
You son of a bitch. Great Arnold film, by the way. Not only that, by the way, when you get Predator, you also get a Carl Weathers version of Jax. That's really awesome. So,
do you really?
Yes. It's actually advertised as that.
All right, this might be the best DLC pack of all time.
Now, each one of these characters has 3 variations of the characters, which in many cases can mean different versions of the special moves, different combos, and even different strategies on using the attack. So, in a sense, you're getting 25 characters, each with 3 variations of it. So, you're getting, in a sense, over 75 different characters. So, not bad at all. On top of that, now, Joe, I remember the last Mortal Kombat in 2011 quite fondly, correct?
Indeed, yeah.
Well, going back, I actually rewatched the story mode, and there's some things that I feel I should address here. Number one, the graphics look a lot better than they did in 2011. Granted, it's Granted, it's PS3 versus PS4, but I invite you to go back and rewatch those scenes back then. Also, because it's a dramatic improvement. Also, if you were offended at all by the proportions on some of the characters, it's good to know. Ed Boon has actually addressed this specifically, saying that the characters are a lot more realistic, and that's quite true. As granted, I'm not saying you're not going to see cleavage of some kind, but let's just say the female warriors are not as scantily clad. They have reasonably sized chests.
Human size, human proportions is what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
not Rob Liefeld caricatures.
Exactly. So it makes a lot more sense. So that's really, really awesome. And on top of that, and me and Joe, we argue back and forth on this as far as fighting games and stories.
Boy, oh boy.
And granted, I'm not saying Joe doesn't have some kind of point here. I look at Soul Calibur. If you were to show me Soul Calibur, I couldn't tell you what the hell's going on in there. It's a cursed sword that makes you a monster, but everyone wants it for some reason. What kind of story is that? I mean,
not a good one. What do you know?
Not a good one. However, this is NetherRealm Studios we're talking about here. They starting with Mortal Kombat in 2011, going into Injustice as later on. They have really taken the story mode for a fighter and actually made it into something really, really cool. Yep. And Injustice, we were raving about how awesome and well done that story was done, as well as I still say the story mode in the Mortal Kombat of 2011 was really awesome, as how they explained the first 3 Mortal Kombats, as well as starting a completely new timeline and thus rebooting the series in the process.
Yeah, NetherRealm has revolutionized story modes in fighting games so that they're no longer terrible. They're fun, but they're still inconsequential.
Yeah, well, I disagree there because there is backstory in it, and it doesn't take itself too seriously either. Like looking at like the first chapter with Johnny Cage, it's like, let's make this story the Fast and Furious of video games right here, and it's just fun. And Ed Boon has said himself that they wanted to make it feel like a summer blockbuster, and if the first chapter is any indication, it looks like it's going to be a really fun time. And so it has a great story. The combat, no pun intended, in the game is actually really...
Shut it down. Ending the call now.
Yeah. I'll see. All right, topic of the week now. NetherRealms knows what it's doing with fighting games. In the combos, how the characters fight. I mean, Mortal Kombat X will be at EVO this year, I guarantee you. In fact, we probably announced that already. But it's that good, folks. And
yeah,
it's a fun time. The fatalities, I didn't think they could, but they upped the ante on them in both gore and ridiculousness as well. Like, did you see Cassie Cage's selfie fatality?
I have not watched any of the fatalities. least. I kind of want to just see them.
Firsthand?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's see. By the way, folks, if you're like me and you want to find out more about it, I would suggest going to YouTube and finding a group called Mortal Kombat Community, which is essentially NetherRealm Studios, and they'll walk you through some of the interesting points of the game. They show you all the variations for each character, as well as show you like gameplay footage, like we saw our first look at Goro over there too. But anyway, the fighting is amazing. You still got your X-rays. You got characters with at least 2 fatalities each, and the game just looks like a blast. Plus, they added all new stuff to it, such as faction wars. With this one, you pick one of 5 different groups. You got your Lin Kuei, which is where Sub-Zero hails from. You got Black Dragon, where Kano runs. White Lotus with Raiden and Liu Kang, and of course the Brotherhood of Shadow with Shinnok and Quan Chi. Now, first thing I want to point out to you, in case you guys may not realize, if you pick a faction, you don't need to use faction-specific characters. So if you pick Black Dragon, don't think that you have to play as Kano and that's it. But you can play as any character, and whether you do the story mode, arcade mode, online mode, though arcade online mode helps especially, anything you do in the game gets points for your faction. And at the end of every week, whoever's faction is the winner, they get all these bonuses, including like level faction fatalities, extra modifiers for test your luck, and a whole lot more to unlock in the game. The game is chock full of unlocks. In fact, you also got Mortal Kombat X on the mobile devices, which as of right now is only on iOS. But you pick your faction there too, so everything you do on there gets points for your factions as well. Granted, what Joe was saying, I was like, oh, is there skins? Yes, there's skins for your characters in the game. There's a mime Johnny Cage that someone thought was a good idea, and that's in there that you got to unlock just by signing in. But there's all sorts of fun stuff you can do. By the way, in that Mortal Kombat app game, there's like generic characters. Like there's a Lin Kuei ninja. It's not Sub-Zero. It's just like a jobber Lin Kuei ninja.
Jobber ninja.
And there's like soldiers and what have you. And
local talent.
Exactly. And when they're fighting against each other, like have you ever seen like a movie where where a character is playing a generic fake video game that you know is nothing? That's what this looks like when it's like 2 jobbers. But it makes that moment to unlock the actual characters all the more special. Let's see. So you got all the stuff you can do for factions. You can like fight online with various different ways of fighting each round. You got challenge towers, and there'll be one for hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly, I believe. And so you're always going to have like stuff to do. It's actually pretty ambitious in how often they're updating and doing different things for the game. Let's see. And they also do little things like when 2 fighters that you pick are going up against each other before the fight starts, they'll do a little intro and like talk smack to each other, which, if you know the history that goes on between these characters, it makes more sense why Sonya Blade and her family hate Kano with a fiery passion, or why Jax's daughter hates Ermac so much. Like there is actual history in there, which is always really cool. There's lore, Joe.
And it won't matter when the next game comes around.
It does matter. Like like in the story mode for this game, and I've seen this from the trailers, like there are actual mentions to the last game's story.
Whatever.
It is.
I just want to rip a dude apart.
Well, Joe, you'll be happy to know you'll be able to do that.
I don't really care for the reasons why.
Like I said, the fatalities are amazingly over the top and gruesome. Like hats off to the Foley guys that they got for this. The Foley guys are the guys that make the sound effects out there, for those who don't know. Like, there are fatalities where I've seen, I think it's not Scorpion, but it's somebody descended from me. He like fires that wire into the guy's throat and pulls out his intestines. Ugh.
From his throat?
From his throat, yes.
With his spear.
With his spear. And it just goes down into the throat and just pulls her. No, I think it's Takeda, because he fires the wire into it, then he flicks his wrist, and all these spikes come out of the wire, and you're pulling the esophagus and intestines out right from his stomach.
Gross.
And you got Liu Kang ripping out people's Adam's apple and shoving it down their throats again.
What's the point of that?
Oh, my favorite is Goro has fatalities, folks, and you can do fatalities to him in this game. He has a fatality where he just bonks you on the head so hard that your head goes into your body, and then he'll grab your stomach and rip it out so you can see your face, and then you die. Like, oh my god, Joe, it's great. And plus, we have brutalities. Brutalities are just like sick combos that just abruptly end the fight. Like, all of a sudden, you're punching someone so hard that his face disintegrates under your knuckles, or you'll charge at someone with Raiden, and they'll just explode.
So you're saying that these are not the same as the heroic brutalities found in Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe?
No, it's really not, Joe. It's like, oh my god, like, Superman doesn't punch until the guy's face disintegrates. Oh my god. But I've gone on and on about how much I love Mortal Kombat. When the last Mortal Kombat came out, I took a vacation. I bought the movie on Blu-ray. I had my friends over. We had some pizzas, drank a bit of soda, and just watched the movie, play through the story mode, which I was able to help conquer. By the way, my friend of mine who was a big player of the old school arcade games, he was like whining about how he can't play 3D games. It's a 2D fighter still.
I know, it's not Mortal Kombat 4, man.
Yeah, freaking A. Oh, that was terrible, where you like throw a fireball and they just step to the left. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, those games got real bad for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking about all those old games, it's funny because you could play those games pretty seriously if you really wanted to. Those original games in the arcade, but for the most part, they were just kind of dumb fun. Like they weren't very deep at all. Certainly not as deep as Street Fighter, which it was released alongside of. But as the games have progressed, they've become much more technically advanced, while still maintaining what made them so much fun back in the day. So it's cool to see kind of both parts of what have made the fighting games so great back then and even today kind of converge into this one title or recent title.
And don't get it twisted. If you're just if you're not like I'm not saying you have to be an Evo freaking finalist in order to enjoy this game. I still have the most fun having guests over and just showing them the fatalities.
Yeah, fact, I've always loved the Mortal Kombat games. Like I played them on Super Nintendo and Genesis or whatever back in the day, or even PS1, like the trilogy on PS1 or whatever. And like I said, those are dumb fun or whatever, but as in recent years where I've started watching Evil on Twitch or whatever, I've gotten illusions or airs of pretending to be a wannabe scrub, trying to get into more fighting games or whatever, and failing, of course, because I'm terrible. But it's cool that Mortal Kombat still fits into that particular part of the fighting game equation. So it's cool that it's reinvented itself in a way that even super hardcore evil type dudes can appreciate it as well.
Oh yeah. By the way, they've also done a lot of additions to the practice mode too. Like for instance, there's a fatality practice mode finally. So if you just want to go straight to showing someone a fatality, now you have a mode just specifically for that. Plus they've done what they call easy fatalities, which if you can't get the button prompts down, they have an easier way of putting it in for you. And you can tell they also incorporated a lot of stuff they learned from both Injustice and Mortal Kombat. Like for instance, those fun environments, that interactive environments from Injustice, where you could just like grab something in the background and throw it at the guy or something like that. There's plenty of that now in all the levels too. So not only you got to worry about fighting against a fighter, you got to worry about him grabbing a tree branch and hitting you in the face with it. So I hope I'm able to convey my excitement, because I'm really, really stoked for this game. It's awesome stuff. It comes out April 14th. So as Joe pointed out, this is only a coming attraction for like 4 or 5 days, but still, I highly recommend. Although if you're on PS3 still, if you're getting the PS3 version, you'll have to wait a little while. I don't remember if we covered it or not, but they did delay the last gen version of the game. You have to wait till June 30th if you're waiting to get it there, but very soon, just a few days. You're getting it on PS. I didn't know that I thought they just dropped it completely. So,
no, they push it to June.
All right. Are you getting it out of curiosity, Joe?
Yeah. Although I will have to wait till
payday.
Well, actually, I don't have to. Well, not necessarily. I got my tax on. I can spare this. I can spare the $60. But yeah, because even if I get it with my paycheck, I still don't have my employee discount yet, so I may as well just get it now as soon as it's out.
Do you have to wait 90 days for your employee discount?
30 days.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good. I had to wait 90 for AT&T.
Damn.
Yeah.
I guess because the median cost of things is probably higher for where you work.
Oh, yeah.
Like everything is at least like $200 if you want something decent.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to me, it's like, oh yeah, if I just want an HDMI cable, man. just give me the discount already.
All right, so that was coming attractions and Mortal Kombat X. Look forward to it. If you have an Apple device, you can get that app and start leveling up right now.
Goro is a pre-order thing, right?
What's that?
Goro is a pre-order thing?
Yep. If you pre-order the game, you get a code to unlock.
Yeah, but okay. I'll probably have to pre-order.
Yeah, you still got time, buddy. All right, folks. As with that all being said, a game came out a few weeks ago that is pretty big right now. It is Bloodborne, and we're going to discuss it right now. Bloodborne. All right. So, what did I think? I've been playing it pretty religiously for a while. I even posted a few videos of me beating bosses up on YouTube. You can check those out at my page or my Facebook page. I've really enjoyed this, Joe.
I've gleaned that.
So breaking it down, all the bullet points that I have here. Graphics. Remember when I told you playing Dark Souls 2, and after a certain point, all I could think about is, wow, how great would this game look like on PS4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, granted.
Well, there you go.
Granted, I have Dark Souls 2 now on PS4 remastered, but Bloodborne, my God, the detail that goes into this game is absolutely incredible. It's in a lot of the little things, like the moonlight coming from the sky, the wind blowing your cloak, or like you open the door and this gust of wind hits, and like everything around you, including your clothes, all start to like get pushed back and breeze. It's the way the enemies look like and how monstrous they absolutely look, and the sprays of blood that happen every time you're hit, and the amount of blood that covers your body as you play the game more and more. It's in a ghastly sense, very beautiful, this game. It's really commendable that everything they did, from the look of the weapons to everything. It's absolutely flawless. Details in the area, like I was saying, the detail in clothing, like I think we finally figured out clothing with this generation of console right here.
Finally.
Indeed. Like it used to just be like you were wearing like this pixelated, heavily starched outfit, but now it's like it bends, it folds, it looks quite nice actually. The enemies in here are not only frightening, but like I've actually written it down in here. This is probably the best survival horror of 2015, as it's this the mood. Like you'll be walking along like this dark alleyway, and all of a sudden you'll start hearing noises. You'll actually hear the boss that you'll one day fight like off in the distance howling, and and when you actually face him, you'll recognize the sound he makes from earlier. It does like little nods like that, or you'll see like a gigantic enemy in the distance, and you'll know you'll have to face that at some point. And the creatures' designs are all really memorable. Like look up Victor Amelia, all the werewolves in there, and even as something as basic as pigs are absolutely frightening. There are these gigantic pigs, Joe, that have like a full set of human teeth, and and the way they just look at you is just frightening. Oh my God. So looks wise, this game is absolutely amazing. And which brings me to the sound. Sound effects are really good. Like all the monsters have very distinct sounds and noises, and the way like everything moves. There's like wind blowing in the background, or sounds as you're walking along the grass. It really adds tension to it. Now, it's rare that there's a soundtrack. It's usually available only when you're fighting a boss, but it adds to that boss fight so amazingly. Like the sound is absolutely perfect. Like the music is absolutely perfect, and it just like adds so much to every scene that it's in. It's just incredible. Gameplay wise, the best way I have to describe this game is a little Mike Adamle adage of just saying it's a controlled frenzy, in that there's still plenty of strategy. Don't think that you're just going to be button mashing your way through this, but you have to lose your inhibitions that you would have gotten from playing Dark Souls and Demon Souls. I mean, there's no shield there. Well, there is a shield, but it sucks. But you can't play that way anymore. You can't be like block, 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 and then swing, block, block, block. No, that's not going to do it anymore. There's all sorts of these new mechanics. Like, for instance, you got the gun in one hand, you got your main melee weapon in the other. If an enemy attacks you, you have a few seconds to attack them back, and if you are able to successfully attack them back, you'll regain your life back roughly equal to the damage that you're doing. So you can, like, for getting hit, you can gain your life back almost immediately if you are quick enough. And with the gun is mainly used for parrying attacks. Like, if an enemy's animation starts, if you're quick enough on the draw, no pun intended, you'll stagger them, and then you can get in and do a visceral attack, which does heavy damage to the guy. They've also fixed the issue with backstabs. Now, before in games like Demon Souls and Dark Souls, it was pretty easy to get a backstab just by waiting for an enemy to start an attack, starting to rotate around them, and then attacking them from behind. They tried to fix that in Dark Souls 2 by having the enemies like pretty much perma lock on to you at all times, which made for very ridiculous animations and hit detections that were actually kind of unfair. But now they fixed all that, because now if you want to backstab someone, you need to do a charge attack by holding down the R2 trigger. And if you're able to successfully hit it from behind, then he'll stagger and you can do the backstab to do big damage. Otherwise, you're just slashing normally at them. So it's actually a lot more fair. I actually really dig it. The melee weapons are all these like morphing technologies. Like, if you were to look through the lore, because a lot of people still say this is actually more than a spiritual sequel to Demon Souls, because at the end of that game, you wipe out, small spoiler, but you wipe out all magic on Earth. So if you go into this game, which a lot of time has passed, and it makes sense because people have focused so much on weapons that the technology is a little bit better, which is how you have freaking cleavers that transform into spears, or spears that transform into rifles, and swords that transform into great swords, and so forth and so forth. It's actually really, really cool in how they all work. They each have their own two sets of move sets for each weapon. So it's not only a matter of mastering one side, but mastering the other and figuring out what works best for like crowds, for one-on-ones, and so forth and so forth. Maybe you want to focus in skill, which is focusing on like is more like a dex build type of character. Or maybe you're big into strength and you just want to kill the guy in one shot. You have all sorts of planning and options to do there, which, by the way, you can like level up each stat to do whatever you like. The boss fights are amazing. Like, this is what I was missing in Dark Souls 2, Joe. Like when in making a memorable boss, it's not enough to just make him difficult. That's not why people remember it. It's like, because each character has its own story that you reveal in just playing the game. Like, for instance, the second boss of the game is like, I call him Father Gas, but it's like Father Gascoigne or something like that. But you find out, if you were to just walk up to him, you just fight him, and that would be it. However, if you like explore around, you will actually bump into this small child whose parents are gone and asks you to help her find them. So she tells her, like, my dad's a hunter like you. Just keep an eye out for him. And if you see him, play this music box, we would play it for him every time, he would lose himself. And you get this little toy music box. And that's when you realize that the father guy who looks like a hunter just like you, is in fact the girl's father. So you fight him, and at some point he turns into a monster, turns into a beast. Now, if you play the music blocks, he will suddenly go, oh, and like lose himself, and he'll like stagger and like be clutching his head, which gives you you ample opportunity to land the death blow from behind and finally finish him off. And it's, by the way, and small spoiler, because this is just the beginning of the game. If you look around that area, you'll find a woman on the ground, and that's the girl's mother. See, it's like little things like that make these fights all the more memorable, because each one there's like a story behind it, and it's more and more apparent as you explore the level, because like nothing is explained to you, and we're getting closer to the cons here, and that's the big one. There's no hand holding. There's no, if you're expecting, like, it'll tell you, in the very beginning, hit R1 to attack, but little things like that, but that's about it. It's not going to like give you it's not going to tell you what's going on, and it leaves it up to you. Like, if you really care for it, you can go through the game, look at the item descriptions, which will tell you history on the world. You can explore and find notes. You can look around the area, like just seeing where you see a body on the ground and its proximity to a certain landmark can tell you a whole bunch of story, very involved game. So if you actually care for it, you can play the game and experience it. But if you just want to play it and just beat it just for the sake of doing that, you can do that too. But if you're expecting this game is not easy. I died quite a few times, and if you're gung-ho, you will get overwhelmed really quick. And there's another little warning. The Miyazaki loves to do jump scares with this game. I've had like quite a few times where like an enemy will jump out of nowhere and like scream at me.
No, that stuff wasn't in other games, was it?
Yeah, but they would attack you from behind. But there's more. I feel there's more emphasis on freaking you out with this time around, because they will actually like jump from the side to attack you now. But yeah, there's no hand holding. That difficulty is there, but once again, it's that difficulty that it's not punishing in the sense that it's like you feel like giving up. It's like, okay, I died here because I tried to take all three guys at once. Next time, I'll throw a pebble, attract one at me. I'll take him out, maybe do that for a second time, and then go forward, and then you'll get through it. Or okay, I died on this boss because I was an idiot and tried to like trade blows with. If I roll to his side, attack him from behind, maybe work his leg, it'll stagger him, and then I can do some more damage. It's like as you play, you learn from your mistakes, and you're able to keep going. And it makes for a really, really fun mystery and good story just from doing this. Now, and that's part of it, like I said, the mystery of this game, because you just wake up after signing a contract, and you have no idea what the contract is for, why you're a hunter, and a large chunk of the game is finding out why and how everything happened like it. Now for the cons here. Like I said, that the no hand holding, it's a difficult game. So while I would dare say this is the first real must-get exclusive for the PS4, if you're not familiar with Souls, it could take some getting used to. However, we're all getting used to it. Like it took me a little while to get used to not having a shield, but now that I am, I can't imagine going back, or at least until Dark Souls 3 comes out. And of course, there's the really, really big one that I have to mention, and that's the loading times, which can go for 30 to 40 seconds. Now, something that doesn't get talked about a lot, and this is some silver lining here, Joe. Once that loading time is done, that's pretty much it until you either die or go back to the hunter's dream, which is sort of like your nexus. It's where you rest and level up before going back into the world. Once you get warped back into the game, and after and I'm not joking, it's like 30 to 40 seconds, depending on what you have. It's a while, but once you get back into the game, you can walk all over the map. No loading times, no firmware rate issues. It's smooth. It's flawless. It's just that it's like they took all the loading and put it into one loading screen, and that's it. For me, it wasn't a deal breaker. For me, it was a little annoying, yes, but once you get used to it, it's fine. Did you have any questions for me as far as the game, Joe?
Well, going back to the hand-holding thing, or the lack thereof, you're an experienced soulsman. Did you even still, like I've heard accounts of people who've played all these games before, but still were baffled by certain like stats that were just not explained at all, or like currencies or whatever. Did you come across anything that even after your playthrough of not only Bloodborne but previous games that you still just have zero explanation for whatsoever? Like whether it be items or stats or anything like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I was curious if it was something that worked this way in Souls. Would it be the same thing over here? For instance, in Souls, when you died, you would lose a little bit of your life, and you would start turning into beef jerky, and where your body.
Wait, come again?
Well, your body would start in the game. When you start off the game, you look completely human, but when you die, you start to become more and more undead, and your body will start to rot.
Okay.
So when at its rottiest, you look like a piece of beef jerky to me, and which would frustrate me to no end, because I just spent like a half hour creating this character and making him look a certain way, and most of the time he just looks like beef jerky anyway. So what's the point?
Now, in those games, did that also make it harder still to continue on? Like, was your character weaker still every time you became more undead?
Actually, no. I mean, every time I died, I haven't noticed any decrease in my life bar at all, and I've died quite a few times. My appearance of my character is still very much the same. In fact, I will say that there's a few things that I still don't know what the purpose is for. Like, there's these things called Madman Knowledge, where if you every time you use it, you get a point of inspect or something like that.
Insight is what I keep hearing. That people just have no idea what it actually is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what it does overall. I know that there's like a section of the Hunter's Dream where you trade in those points to purchase stuff, which you can be chalices or outfits from bosses you defeat and so forth. But other than that, I know that it must have some other and I think you might use them when you're like either invading or going to cooperate and help another guy out. But aside from that, I'm really not sure. I'm still learning. And it does
one theory I've heard is that if you have too much of it when you're walking around, like enemies become harder or something.
Oh, really?
Like I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just what I've heard. Like, in your experience, does that hold water?
Here's the thing, though. I don't know, because the enemies are hard enough as it is. I can't imagine that they're getting harder. I mean, so like I said, I'm not sure. And it doesn't help that the strategy guide was also delayed till the 14th. So it's
wait, it's not even out yet?
No.
That's great.
Oh, it's like I told you this like a few weeks due to the update, like the update that they did for the game, the very first one at launch was so substantial that they had to add stuff to the strategy guide, and it ended up adding another 128 pages to it.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a pretty big book. So
749 pages.
Yeah. And see, as far as the stats, in my opinion, I thought they simplified it a little bit more. Like, you only have like so many stats. Like, you got vitality, which is your life bar. You got stamina, or endurance, which is your stamina. Stamina, when you run, then your stamina decreases, and when the green bar gets all the way empty, then you slow down and you have to catch your breath, or you can't do any more attacks. So the longer the life bar, the more you can go for. There's dexterity, as there's dexterity and strength, which certain weapons you won't be able to use unless they're at your dexterity and strength are at a certain level. Before, you could equip it and just not swing it right. Like, he would literally look like a dude who is trying to swing a sword but can't. But now you can't even equip it. So, but you get the stats just right. You can focus on one or the other, as there are certain weapons that rely on having plenty of strength as opposed to plenty of dexterity. There's arcane, which is like anytime you use let's say like an elemental anything, like for instance, let's say you add fire onto your enemy so it does fire damage. The amount of fire damage it does is based on the arcane stat, and arcane also increases your item discovery. So the odds that some guy is going to drop that legendary armor set that you've been wanting forever, that's based in part to item discovery. And let's see, there's a final one which I can't remember. Gosh darn different, but it involves bullet strength or how good your pistol is.
Okay.
I think it's like called Bloodshot or Blood Dirge or something like that. I can't remember what it is.
How often does the word blood come into play here in this game? By the way,
a lot. Like every time you talk to a PC, it's like blood this and blood that. You know, we give to the blood. We don't understand the blood. Like in this world, there is an entire religion based on blood. Like characters will actually give you their blood as a thank you, because you know blood can restore health. Blood can make you stronger as you get blood echoes, and that's what you instead of souls now, and you trade that in order to raise your stats. And you know, each time you level up, it costs more and more to level up. But the characters and lore behind it is all based on blood, and some of the sights from the game are actually pretty frightening. Like walking into a room and you can clearly see that some sort of blood sacrifice took place here, and it'll have like this strung up beast with his insides ripped apart and like all these dead humans surrounding him, and all their blood is going into this one structure in the middle. It's like it's great. And trust me, like my description there does it no justice to how it looks in the game. I mean, once again, in the game, everything is really, really amazing. Looks great. Anything else, buddy?
Because I mean, I can only really come at this from an outsider's perspective, but from somebody who also only really dabbled in Dark Souls 2. I played maybe a couple of hours before I was like, yeah. So I'm just kind of wondering, you know, if those pitfalls that, you know, kind of turned me off of Dark Souls 2, whether those would be present here. But it seems like, I mean, not to say more accessible in terms of being easier, because, I mean, that certainly does not sound like the case. But I don't know, something about Bloodborne seems a little bit more accessible somehow. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, it's a starting point for everyone. Like, even a guy like me who's played all those games, I'm learning an entirely different strategy in order to play this game. Like the way I played in literally every single one of those games is not going to work for Blood. So it's a fresh entry point for everyone. Plus, you know, with Miyazaki in the helm, you know, it's not like Dark Souls 2 where it just crushes you. But Bloodborne, you know, it's very fair, and especially, and maybe it's just for the fact that I played the last 3 games. But you know, like the beginning, I felt was like the most accessible beginning to a Souls game ever. Just the characters, you know, were really slow. There are some harder enemies, but they're usually patrolling an alleyway that you don't have to go through. So if you can't quite take them, you can ignore them until you feel brave enough to try them. And you know, all the enemies are. Oh, by the way, and this is something that was pretty funny. Like the alpha, everyone was saying that, wow, I can't believe they stuck us in the middle of the game like that, because you know they were dying a lot and what have you. Turns out that was the very beginning of the game.
Cool.
Indeed. One other small nitpick I'll throw at it. With Dark Souls and Demon Souls, you know, something I really loved was the armor sets and how different they looked like. I'm not saying there's no detail in everything. There's actually quite a bit of detail from like outfit to outfit, but they at least in a lot of the ones I've seen so far, they all kind of look the same, as in it's a trench coat with the hat and what have you. Now, I will say that I've since then seen some of the Chalice Reward armor sets, and those look vastly different from the stuff I've seen in the beginning. But a lot of the stuff in the beginning, like, it used to be really cool when I would get a new armor set, and I would be like, all right, change my character up a little bit, and it's like, oh, he's still kind of how he did in the beginning. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I think you would have a lot more fun with this one. It's not like you seem to, from what I've heard of you playing games, you seem to have issue with like the slow and methodical pace. With with Bloodborne, you can speed it up, or at the very least, you're always doing something as opposed to just holding the shield out, waiting for the guy to attack.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of what kind of turned me off Dark Souls 2, because I mean, a lot of the time I spent doing that was kind of locking on and circling enemies with my shield raised and hoping that they would finally make a mistake. But I mean, I guess this seems a little bit faster, or at least that was the initial promise coming when they announced the game, and it seems to be the case.
If you guys would be so kind, if you go to our YouTube page, which I don't know if we've really talked about this a lot on the show, but we have a YouTube page now. Just look up Firmware Update Podcast, or it'll be on our WordPress as well in the description for it, and click on it. I actually actually put my first battle with the cleric demon on there, and it's like a good 7-minute fight, and it was pretty funny. Like if you watch that fight, you can actually see what I'm thinking at certain points. Like at the beginning, I'm trying to do this strategy I saw from the alpha, where the guy just continually shot the thing in the head, it would stagger, and then he would eviscerate it. However, he only does that once in the actual game, so you see me waste every single one of my bullets trying to get it to stagger. It was pretty funny because somebody actually made fun of me for doing it like that until they saw the thing stagger, and they're like, "Oh, he knew what he was doing." I'm like, "Damn right, I knew what I was doing." And I'm just hitting it like here and there, but he's like getting me to use all my blood vials, which are blood vials drop quite a bit throughout the game. Use those in place of Estus flasks, and those recharge your life. And I get to a point where I have like 4 left. There's one point you just see me stand there and look at it, and you can literally see me just like say, fuck it, and I just charge the beast. I dive and I just like slash as much as I can, and I take it down. And Joe, that euphoria you feel when you take down one of the harder bosses is just amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. And I've really just scratched the surface on everything. There's like all this new stuff to play. It's a fun experience, and I'm very interested to see what the MPD numbers, especially with all the talk that the game's been getting since launch. So
yeah. I mean, so you've already beaten the game, Malcolm? Have you?
No, it's going to be a while.
Because I mean, I've seen people or I've heard of people just plowing right through it, and I've seen a few people get the platinum already. Is that something that'll be feasible for you, Malcolm?
No, those are better soulsmen than me, right there. I'm very slow and methodical in my process, but I will get there.
I guess no nerd. I thought you were hardcore.
I am hardcore, dude.
Apparently not.
The very fact that I beat the game makes me very hardcore, I'll have you know. But unless you had any other questions?
No. I think you covered pretty much all the bases here, Malcolm.
Sweet. Then out of our little rating system, which I'll have to write down because I'm starting to think that Joe's right when I say that I may change one there. But essentially, our little system, we got full price. We got a buy it right now. We have wait for it to go on sale. We have Redbox, and we have Skip It. And this one is definitely a go out and buy it right now. This is hands down the first real must-get exclusive for the PS4, sadly. And
only
sad it took this long here. I really thought we'd have it with Infamous Second Son for it being first, but anyway. But yeah, this is the biggest thing to get for PS4 right now. It is awesome. It is fun. It is amazing. And that experience, that joy, because I'm not saying it's not going to be frustrating. You're gonna go, ugh. But when you beat that boss, when you overcome that mountain, you're gonna feel like the man. Trust me. This game is a must-get for that reason. And that, folks, brings us to the end of the firmware update. Episode 141. Thank you so much for listening in to us. Because if you liked what you heard, then you can follow us each and every single week. If you use an Apple device, you can find us right on iTunes. Hit that subscribe button and you'll get every show as it comes. And hey, give us a 5-star review. That greatly helps the show. You can also find us as well if you have an Android device. You can use Stitcher Radio and stream us from your phone or tablet every single week. You can also get us on SoundCloud on your device too, where you'll see the latest episode there each and every week. You can also find us on Pocket Cast, which is an app that we highly recommend, as you'll be able to stream and download each and every single episode. Also, if you want us in the background, you can find us on YouTube, where we got that, and sometimes I'll break a piece of the show off and put it by itself, and you can find us right there. Hit that subscribe button and like every single video. That helps us out tremendously. Just look up Firmware Update Podcast, or you can also find the link at our WordPress account over at thefirmup.wordpress.com, where you'll find every single episode as it comes with all the links, including our Twitter accounts at PSMalk for me, at Once23 for Joe, and at the Firmup for the show itself. and Joe. Oh, and one last thing. We actually have a Facebook page that we also don't talk up enough. If you would be so kind to just head over there and just click that like button. greatly appreciate it. Once again, it's Firmware Update Podcast. Just look us up on the Facebook. And, Joe, is there anything else I'm forgetting?
I didn't catch any of it. Can you repeat that?
We'll see you next week, folks.
See ya.